So I think you can see we got a little snow again. It warmed up last week and rained, so we lost most of our snow. But today it dropped and it's in the 20s. Frigid. I'm just walking the fence line here. Let me take you down to the hay bales and I'll tell you a funny story. All right, actually two funny stories. The hay bales just reminded me of one. So when I was a kid, I always thought these looked like a herd of buffalo just huddled together in a field. And one year, my cousin told me the story the other day. I don't remember this. He said during hunting season, I was walking, probably pushing deer for someone else. And I jumped on one of these and started stabbing it with my buck 110, pretending, God knows what, pretending to slay an animal. And my granddad, who was 150 yards on top of the hill, who was half blind at the time, looked through the scope of his gun because he thought I had tackled a deer and was like slitting its throat. God forbid, he could have shot me had he had his finger on the trigger. And there wasn't much in the way of gun safety those days, so he probably did. That's not the story I want to tell you, though. Just hang on. All right, so here's the story I wanted to tell you. It's the mid-90s. I'm in 7th or 8th grade, and I started to carry a hanky in my back pocket. Now, I started to carry a hanky in my back pocket because my dad always carried either a blue or red hanky in his pocket. And I just wanted to be like Dad, right? But let me preface the story by saying I have two of the greatest parents that anybody could ever ask for. But I was starting to get into some trouble because I was running with kids 4 or 5 years older than me. That needs to be said. Also, keep in mind, it's the 90s, and on the West Coast, you have the Bloods and the Crips that are being highlighted in the news, and you also have the East Coast, West Coast rap wars going on. Now, I wasn't into rap music at the time. I was into like Green Day and Oasis, but my mom pulls me aside after school one day because she sees one of these hanging out of my pocket, and she asks me, in genuine concern for my well-being, if I joined a gang, meaning the Bloods or the Crips, me, from Butthole, Pennsylvania, landlocked Pennsylvania on the East Coast, whether or not I joined. I think she sincerely thought I might have joined the Bloods because I was carrying a red hanky, and all I was really doing was wiping my snotty little nose because I wanted to be like Dad, who was just wiping sweat from his brow at work. But I started to carry one of these again during winter, and it made me think of that. So hope you guys had a good laugh. I had a good laugh recalling that story. The Bloods, of all things. You guys hear the pileated woodpecker? I can't see him, but I hear him banging his brains out on a tree down there. There's another one. 2 of them. So you really can slow down time by paying attention to the mind. And that's the first step of mindfulness meditation as far as I'm concerned. You have to just learn how to sit and watch the mind work. And that's not as easy as you think. In fact, you'll often find yourself coming back to attention and realizing you just got lost. The Buddhists call it monkey mind. That's the first step, and after that, you can start to posit some questions about identity and consciousness and do some more weird shit, but first you gotta learn how to pay attention. Right here seems a good enough place for a little yoga, eh? Hey, bud? Oh yeah, bud, right here. Good yoga spot, yoga hosers, eh? So I both try to meditate and do a little stretching when I'm out on my Sabbath Saturday walks. There's just a few different positions that I prefer that really loosens me up. I know some of you won't want to lose your man card and do a little yoga. Stretching's only for women, I was once told. But it really does loosen up the old joints, and for me, that's both necessary because of the nature of my work, but also you can see the work I'm doing here is in an attempt to improve my balance, which will only help me improve my skating. So here's a little snow skating, my improvement there as well. Better do to make it true. Keep her straight. I guess old Punxsutawney was right after all. I'm getting rocked here. Whew. I had to stop here for a minute, guys. It's really blustery out here. Visibility is poor, to be sure. Gonna sit here, warm up for a minute, and then, to be honest, I'm gonna start heading back. I got a good hike out of here. Man, that came out of nowhere. So I want to show you something neat here. This is a resinous polypore. Polypore is just a large group of mushrooms that have pores or tubes rather than gills to spread the pores. And the resinous polypore holds a lot of water. You can see here. It's just, the cross-section is just wild. These are violet-toothed polypore. We'll get a look at the undergarments here. You can see why they might call them violet. They can get quite purple in the right weather. These mullein shoots are crazy things. They shoot up this long ass stalk. Some people do use these in tinctures. I think the Native Americans used to use it medicinally, whatever that means. Never tried it, but they're cool ass weeds. Cool ass weeds. So a little tree update here. So Killinger had asked me if the cherry he knew as cherry was indeed what I was calling black cherry. And it is, though I thought he might have been talking about choke cherry or pin cherry. He is indeed talking about black cherry. And he says he always thinks of this in terms of scales or even dragon scales, fish scales or dragon scales. And they don't always look this pronounced. And as they get more mature, they get more blocky. But this is also indeed a black cherry. It's definitely done snowing, but man, is it not done gusting. Wafty today. Waft or waft? What do you guys say? I usually say waft. Last correction or add-on to the winter tree ID, if you will. So Cody Clapper pointed out, I think he knew I knew this, but he was merely pointing out that maples often only look smooth to the rest of the forest background when they're young, and that's definitely true. As they get more mature, they get a rougher, scalier bark. You can see here, I believe. Oh, we got something getting into this. It's not the ash borer. If it is, it's getting into maple, which I haven't seen yet. Sorry about that. As I was saying, though, it's only when you go up the tree, and I don't know if the camera will make this out, you start to see that smooth bark emerge again. And in my area, there are 3 main types of maples. That's silver maple, sugar maple, and red maple. And I believe this is red maple. I'm not that good with the bark. I got to look at the leaves to tell which is which. And finally, if you want to learn an acronym, I don't typically teach this or talk about this because I think it can be misleading, but maples are one of the few trees that have parallel branches, which is to say they come out opposite branched of each other. And you can see here's a good example of that here. So maple, ash, dogwood, box elder, and horse chestnut all use that strategy. But typically I'm just seeing maple and ash and a bit of dogwood in the summer times. But let me show you why that's misleading. So right here we have another maple sapling. Focus. And it looks like we have an alternate branching structure, but it's not the case. As you can see here, well, you can't because the camera won't focus. As you can see here, there's a scar where there used to be a branch. And that can mislead you. And then some trees just, it's hard to tell. It's just suffice it to say that this is something you can use if you're unsure, but I wouldn't use it as the first means to identify trees. That's what I'm saying. Stressful week. Just got done doing some drywall. It's basement season where everybody around here gets their basement remodeled, fitted out into a game room / kids room. So when you're finishing a basement, there's a lot of bulkheads and outside angles in it because of all the utilities, HVAC and plumbing and electric that have to run through the ceiling. And that means a lot of this right here. So as much as possible, we run automatic taping tools, which make the job much faster. But this might appear to be easy, but I promise you, I'm pushing a lot harder to embed this mud into this bead than it appears. And that's just, it's just wreaking havoc on my arm at this point. My arms are just taking a beating and nothing to do but continue to do it. The game changer here for me are these level 5 finishing tools. So this screed right here will take out every imperfection except the lift off. That's where you pull your trowel off and you just knock that off. And I like doing that work, but a lot of stupid bulkheads, man. They're not stupid, obviously. We got HVAC running through there, but man, is that really what beats my arms up? Went to the doc the other day to get a look at my arms, and they were essentially useless. Again, having me take some x-rays, like, bro, that shows the bones. They just want to make sure nothing else is wrong. They know it's tendonitis. It's time for cortisone shots. I know that, they know that, but I'm so young. They want to see if this will heal by itself, but it's been a year. Hasn't healed. Now I got to run around to 1 million appointments. I guess I'm getting old. I don't think we should be up there. Now how are you going to get down? Comes the rescue.
Move your tail, please. Move your tail, this thing moves. Okay, come here. Yeah. It's okay.
This is what happens every time.